Welcome to the candidate forum for Erie County Clerk. I'd like to thank Melissa Hartman and Michael Kearns for responding to the questions for the League of Women Voters online voting guide, vote411.org, and urge everyone to make sure you take some time to read their thoughtful responses. There is also a description and the pro and con arguments for the Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Environment Bond Act, which will be on the back of your ballot. It's an important ballot initiative and deserves your consideration. The rules for tonight's event: a candidate must be present, and we must have at least 2 candidates for each office. Presentations must be strictly confined to issues and not personalities. The order of opening statements has been determined by a draw, and closing statements will be made in the reverse order. The League is videotaping this evening's event, and only licensed media, including TV, radio, and newspapers, are entitled to air portions of the recording in keeping with Federal Communications Commission regulations. All others who air the recording may do so only in its entirety. It is the only recording of the event that is approved. League policy requires that no one in the audience records the event or any portion of the event. No one is permitted to publicly display edited footage or quotes in any manner. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening statement, 2 minutes for closing statement, and 2 minutes to respond to each question. The timekeeper will give warnings at 1 minute and 30 seconds for the questions. All questions are being submitted in writing, and we will ask only questions that can be answered by both candidates. Tonight's event is intended to be a dialogue between the audience and the candidates. It is not a debate. Now we'll begin with opening statements for Erie County Clerk with Melissa Hartman.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to the Amherst Senior Center. I'm extremely proud to be up here tonight. My name is Melissa Hartman. I'm running for Erie County Clerk. Currently, I am the Eatontown Supervisor. I'm in my 7th year of doing that. Prior to becoming the Eatontown Supervisor, I was in administration for higher education, specifically at the University of Buffalo, right here in Amherst, where I was the Assistant Director. Basically, I oversaw all of the operations for applications to undergraduate admissions. I did that for 16 years, and so I have a very heavy background in administration and then now 7 years of government. One of the reasons people ask me all the time, why are you running? Why do you do public service? Well, the simple answer is, I love to serve. I got into government because I wanted to help my community. I still feel that way today. I just want to do it at a greater level and outside of my town, but all of Erie County. I grew up in Hamburg, New York, and I'm very proud of that, and I know that we can help our communities together when we work better together. I've proven that in my 7 years of government. I've done a lot of regional government as a supervisor. I've chaired the Erie County Supervisors Forum for several years. I'm the past president of the Erie County Association of Governments, where we work together to better our community, more specifically Erie County. And I currently sit on the New York State Association of Towns Executive Committee, where I was just nominated for Vice President position as well. And the reason for that is, just like I said, I recognize that not only do I need to help the community that I live in, but the communities that surround us, because together, when we work together, we can better our community for everyone. So thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Michael Kearns. I am the current Erie County Clerk. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to thank my opponent for being here tonight. And I think it's important, once again, to thank many of you We were here in November for our Clerk on the Go, so it's good to see many of you, and it's also good to see Melissa Abel, the Director of Senior Services. When I talk to people about the Erie County Clerk's office, the first question I get is, what does a clerk do? The clerk's office is the business office of Erie County. It is a very important office, and we saw that during COVID-19. I am responsible as the Erie County Clerk for nearly 200 employees, a $15 million budget. I am clerk of the court. I am responsible for nearly $2 billion from the registrars, and of course, the DMV and many other offices, including the Pistol Permit Office. I encourage you to once again, as I always say, renew local. So once again, I'm looking forward to having this discussion, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to make sure that we all have a good opportunity to hear both candidates. Thank you so much.
The first question goes to Ms. Hartman. What are the greatest challenges that you expect to face in the next term as county clerk?
Thank you. I think we have a lot of issues that we need to address. One, the most important being access. We want to make sure that all the services that we are currently offering, that they currently offer in the clerk's office, is accessible to everyone. Most specifically the DMVs, which is the most used office. And I believe that we are limiting how much services we offer in the DMV, specifically in the city. This is the largest town in Erie County. You don't have your own personal DMV here, but on the east side of Buffalo, we have one city location. That one city location is not on a major transportation line, and it's difficult to park. I think we need to make sure that accesses are out there for everyone. Also, I'd like to highlight senior services. We're here at the senior service today. As town supervisor, I've noticed the needs, especially over the years of COVID, of our senior residents who are either homebound, have no transportation, can't get to where they need to go. So as county clerk, I would have a senior coordinator position that would work on paperwork for those that need help, who will go right to the families' homes that need it, if it's a homebound senior, who will come out to the senior centers on a regular basis. So I think access is the number one issue we would address. Thank you.
Sorry, I like being close to the people, so this is why I'm doing this. We have a serious challenge. When I was in Albany, I co-authored the Foreclosure Relief Act. There are nearly 6,000 people who are 90 days or more behind on their mortgage. That's a serious issue. That's your friends, that's your neighbors, that could be someone here in this audience today. I worked very hard over the past 5 years to bring people together. I started the Erie County Clerk Zombie Task Force. I partnered with Columbia Law School. I gave a presentation in New York to the state of New York. That is a major issue. You need someone that has the experience to handle that, and we'll continue to partner with the Western New York Law Center. When you talk about access, I have a brother who's disabled. I fought in Albany for the voiceless. Danny Porter came to my office because he couldn't get into our DMVs. I made it my job to create Danny's doors. And now when you go into the DMVs, the doors swing out wide open for Danny. We have 2 beautiful facilities. We've renovated our facility here in this part of the North Towns at the Eastern Hills Mall. A brand new, beautiful facility. When I saw the inefficiencies, we changed it. We've updated nearly 4 of our facilities. Also, we have also added bathrooms, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but when I was here a few years ago, people complained that they didn't have bathroom access, especially family members that had young kids. I listened to the taxpayers, and I listened to you. We have many challenges, and I've already faced challenges. With COVID-19, I mentioned Erie County Clerk's Office, the business office. We were the surplus of Erie County. I will repeat that. We were the surplus of Erie County because of COVID-19. Thank you.
Okay. And the next question goes first to Mr. Kearns.
Sorry. Thank you so much.
What is your vision for the future of the DMV in the city of Buffalo and in the rest of Erie County?
Sure, prior to COVID-19, COVID really changed a lot of things. We partnered with the Erie County Library System. We're also in discussions here. We do something called Clerk on the Go. We opened up at the Meriwether Library. This was something we were talking to Mary Jean with nearly 2 years ago. I'm glad after COVID, we are open. One of the things I do as Erie County Clerk, I put out a report each year. This will be my 5th consecutive report. Not only reporting surpluses, but I give data. Not only the Buffalo Bills and the Sabres provide data and analytics. And one of the things we're looking at is every year, every day, I look at our customers, who's coming in, because we're fighting New York State. We are an agent of the state, and they want to keep 100% of the money. I will continue to fight for that 12.75%. So we look at it, where are the best facilities where we need to expand? When you are the Erie County Clerk, you are the clerk of the whole county. So we have updated and modernized many of our facilities. I currently live in the city of Buffalo with my family. I'm there, I understand the community. I'm always out there talking to the officials, letting them know what's going on. And when this issue did come up, I filed a letter with the Erie County Legislature, and I said to them, I will listen. Currently, right now, we're in the Rath building. We do not pay any rent to the Rath, at the Rath building. That is a governmental building, so it is a savings to taxpayers. One thing I do know, there's a tremendous cost to opening up a new facility, and I will continue to always put the taxpayers and fiscal responsibility first. Thank you so much.
So I answered a little bit of the DMV question in my original, or in the first question, but I'm going to go back to that just a little bit. So, so we're all of Erie County, and we need to look at how we can how everybody in Erie County can access the DMV. And I think we need to concentrate not only on where your higher levels of population are, but where you have issues like transportation and parking. We had been utilizing more government buildings with the DMVs up until recently, where now we're utilizing more private. So it is true that we have the Rath building that is used at very low cost for the DMV, but we've expanded to private locations in Evans, where we were using the building, or I'm sorry, the town hall building prior to that. And then we moved out into a private building as well in West Seneca. So I think we need to look at those contracts. We need to make sure that we are saving, that we are providing those services. I think we need to look at changing some of the morale within the DMV. I think that you have to provide a good customer service. Those people that are providing good customer service need to be happy in the job that they're in. So we want to make sure that those people that are servicing the public are happy, they want to be at work every day, and that we can improve morale. So that'll be something that I'll be working on. Access as well as communication and morale. Thank you.
Okay, and you will be the first person to answer the next question.
Yes.
That's fine.
You would think we would know this.
And this they all kind of go together. But how would you modernize the office of the Clerk of Erie County?
How have I modernized it?
Modernized.
Okay, well, I'm not the clerk yet, so I haven't had the opportunity to modernize. But I can talk about how I've modernized my current position's office and how we're going to transfer some of those skills into the county clerk's office. So when I started as Eaton Town Supervisor, I could not even type a letter. We had an IT guy that ran our IT department in the basement of his home. And so looking at processes and figuring out ways that we can do things more efficiently, better, and more with the times is almost a specialty of mine. When I worked at the University at Buffalo, I was actually the person that oversaw our first paperless project, which was taking University at Buffalo to a paperless system. I'm sure you can only imagine, and I'm sure the county clerk understands this as well, how much paper goes through an administrative office. it's mind-blowing, and it was a case at the University of Buffalo. And so I plan on using the skills that I have had in my past position in government as well as the University of Buffalo, looking at processes, how are they relating and making our customer service better and improving those. And I bet you any money we probably have a lot of work to do on going paperless and moving towards a more online system. I agree with our county clerk that we should be looking at ways that we can keep more money in. Obviously, the modernization is most people prefer to use the online system, and we need to keep that money in. So I'd like to look at those processes, and again, just as the county clerk said, fight hard to make sure that money stays here when we do move to those processes. Thank you.
I've got good news for you. We've already modernized the facilities. Over the past 5 years, I've been able to upgrade many of those facilities. As I said, I'm not only head of the DMV, we have a registrar's office. We have a lot of old books. We've been scanning all those old books to make sure those documents aren't lost. You're clerk of the court. That is a very important position. That means all of those documents are needed if someone is going to go into court. In addition to that, I created something called a help desk. As you know, if you try to call Albany, it's very difficult to get someone on the phone. You now can email our office and we will get back to you within a 24-hour period with an answer. I also created a building, something called Clerk on the Go, an outreach center where you can literally come in and we prepare people before they come into the DMV. I mentioned analytics because if you remember the DMV and you would go there, you would sit there and you would be glum. And one thing I did was, one, bring analytics, but also on my first day when I looked at the seats, I brought in, did not know COVID-19 was coming, hospital sanitized seats, so when you go there, you're not there long anymore because the average wait time for someone who has an appointment is 5 to 9 minutes. We've done a lot to modernize the office. We'll continue that. Our work is not done. We have many documents to scan, but I'm on it. We'll continue to do it. And of course, I want to upgrade the appointment system to make it easy for you. When you go to the doctors, you don't walk right into the doctors. You need an appointment. And we'll continue to emphasize that even though we do encourage appointments, we do accept walk-ins.
Thank you. And this will be our last question, and it will go first to Mr. Kearns. Do you believe in Do you believe in buyback gun programs through the DMV or clerk's office?
Sure, that's a good question. So when I was a Buffalo Common Council member, we supported gun buyback programs. But in state law, that's only done by professionals. It's done by law enforcement. We don't want, when you come into the DMV, to have a gun dropped off. People who are not, proficient in owning a gun, in many instances, it may be left to a family member, and we have a proper procedure working with law enforcement that they can drop it off at a law enforcement agency. Handling a gun is a very serious issue. One of my top priorities is not only to keep my employees safe, it's to keep you safe. When I became clerk and I listened to the employees, one of the first things I did, no clerk has ever done this, we now have security in every one of our facilities. Every one. We make sure people are safe. So when it comes to the handling of guns, it should be done by professionals. You have to follow state law in order to do that. I would not support non-professionals, people who are not professionals, but people who cannot do it unless they follow state law. That's in the law. The one thing you will learn as clerk is that you have to follow the law. This is a ministerial office. It's an administrative office. Those groups of people that preceded us, they make the laws, whether it's in Congress or in Albany. We have to follow the laws. So I will continue to follow the law as Erie County Clerk. We use these facilities. Let the professionals handle it, and it has to be done according to state law. Thank you.
Well, I do believe in gun buyback programs, and I believe in partnering with law enforcement to have that. We are obviously giving out pistol permits, and we are part of that process. We obviously just went through a very tragic and racist gun shooting on May 14th, and we need to make sure that if we are a part of that process of getting guns, illegal guns out into the community, that we have an opportunity for people who want to turn in guns or who may have illegal guns, that opportunity. And so I would 100% partner with law enforcement to assist with that program through the clerk's office. Thank you very much.
And so then we are ready for closing statements, and we'll begin with Mr. Kearns.
I thought she went first, right?
Am I right?
You go first and then I end it.
No, Melissa made the first opening statement, so you make the first closing statement.
Oh, okay.
First, it's an honor to be your Erie County Clerk. As I stated, I was elected in 2017 and in 2018, and once again, I'm looking to be elected to have that honor. I also served in the New York State Assembly, fighting for you, an independent voice. I took on corruption. I was the voice of the voiceless. And when we talked about mental health issues, I was able to work with my colleagues to save the #1 facility. The county clerk's job is an important job. It is something that we have to maintain and keep on moving forward, whether it's with technology, whether it's with helping the people. As county clerk, and I stated earlier, we've done clerk outreaches. That program was nationally recognized by the State Department for innovation. Out of 8,000 recommendations, the local passport agency, we were recommended for an award. I'm very proud working with my staff and the people who, of course, worked very hard on your behalf. During COVID-19, we faced a tough time. We're the business office. We deal with car dealers, the NFADA. We were able to stay open. I talked to Douglas Jamal the other day, and we all look at that big building in Buffalo, One Seneca. And if we were not open during that time, that transaction would not have occurred. M&T Bank probably wouldn't be in that building. People couldn't buy a car because if they bought the car, we complete the transaction, the registration. By the way, it used to take 40 days before I became county clerk. It's now down to 5. New York State has so much confidence in us. If you remember your pink envelope, that used to go to Albany. It stays now here in Erie County because we're doing such a good job. So once again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to thank Melissa for being here tonight. And I want to thank you. You make the final decision on who will represent you in all of these offices over the next few years. Thank you so much.
Again, I want to thank everybody for being here, staying this late to listen to all the candidates tonight. I want to focus on a couple things in my closing statement. One, I'm not sure if you're aware of, but there's currently not one countywide elected woman that represents Erie County. I would only be the 5th in 200 years. And more than 54% of the population in Erie County are women. And right now we're not equally represented, we're not at the table, especially for countywide elected positions. So I do urge you to keep that in mind when you are voting. I want to talk a little bit about what I've been able to do for my town. For the last 7 years, I have been a supervisor. I'm sure you understand a little bit about what a supervisor does. I learned that quite quickly when I became one. But I am a fire commissioner. I am also a police commissioner. I'm the head of all of emergency services. So when you talk about getting through COVID, that was my main responsibility, obviously, through COVID, was to get my town through COVID. I learned how to drive an ambulance in the off chance that all of our emergency services and EMS drivers happen to contract COVID. I find ways in which we can get things done, we can work together. I am very proud of everything that I have done in my town, including completing a master plan and implementing 3 phases of that plan. But I'm especially proud of the fact that I have worked across the aisle the entire time that I have been the town supervisor. And that's not just in my town, but that's across Erie County and New York State. Lobbying for schools, resource officers. I've had the pleasure of working with Karen McMahon and going down to Albany and fighting for what's best for Erie County as the president of the Erie County Association and as the chair of the Erie County Supervisors Forum. I'm a fighter. I'm also a no-nonsense and very moderate, across the board, let's get things done type of girl. And I'll be honored to be your clerk. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Now it's on. And I want to thank everyone.